Hello everyone, good afternoon, good morning or good late night or wherever you are listening or watching the recording or joining us live. This is the TeamsNation monthly meetup for January and the first meetup for 2021. The year that should be a lot better than 2020. So let's see how it goes. So welcome everyone. My name is Vesa Noppanen, but of course please do call me Vesku. That's my usual nickname here, and I have a good audience here with me and lots of excited and anticipating faces waiting for what's coming up in this meetup. So stay tuned. But first, of course, we have to do some of the most important announcements, and it's the happy birthday for TeamsNation / European Teams user group. It's now 2 years old mark for this group. We did change the name during all these 2 years, but hey, that's common. We always like to change names and rebrand things. But that's kind of amazing to think that 2 years, what has happened during this 2 years time period, how much changes there has been, what has happened to the teams, and of course what has happened to the community all the time. It's better and bigger and kind of better all the time. And who's us? I already mentioned myself there, but we have the 2 other founders here on board as well, or are present. Chris Hord from UK and Adam Delchinger from Sweden are here with us, and hopefully Chris Webb wakes up at some point of time and joins us from US. But as I said, this is the TeamsNation that was originally at European Teams user group, and it was founded 2 years ago. And so far we've had over 30 speakers, and we have arranged 3 amazing TeamsFest conferences. And today you will be hearing more some announcements about on the 4th one. And we founded the meetup group for TeamsNation in, I don't know, November at some point of time, so a couple of months back. So, and we already have 200 members there. We didn't have any kind of group to tracking the number of people who were joined on the European Teams user group back there earlier. So I'd just say that 200 members, it's already an amazing number. And if you want to speak or you know somebody who would be a perfect partner speaking in the in our meetups, please do point them to the TeamsNation Rocks/CFS URL to submit the session because we are doing this monthly. We usually have these 2 sessions every month, and so please do submit there, and you can kind of take over the show and be part of this amazing group. And by this, we are creating the network of basically Teams professionals, end users, community. We all love Teams. We are all passionate about Teams, and that's why we are here. And this group is basically providing new opportunities for speaking, because of course we all knew, especially before the last year, that it wasn't always that easy to get started in speaking, to find those opportunities. So that was one of the reasons we found this group, or actually Chris and Adam found this group. I joined this one a bit later. And so you can share the knowledge. And nowadays it's more about, of course, democratizing the knowledge and experience, because, well, sharing is caring. And we have more social media available these days than we had 2 years ago. So please do join our network, follow us, and so you can kind of stay up to date what's happening. And yes, there's also an Instagram account. So if you look for the TeamsNation at Instagram, you can find it there. I try to push some photos there here now and then. But today, first, we have 2 amazing speakers, but of course, first we have to congratulate, big hand for Michael getting the MVP starting this year. So it's kind of excellent that you're here, especially speaking like you have this slot for speaking today, because you just got it a few weeks ago. So that's a very kind of exciting thing. And you are going to be talking us something about special user adoption needs when it comes to the telephonic Teams. And after Michael, Matti will be talking to us about Teams templates. And after these two amazing sessions, then it's for the stages for Chris and telling about the TeamsNation announcements. And we already have the record-breaking audience, which is like a super great. There's something like 40 of us. Okay, Michael, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. You can take over the screen sharing and come to the stage and do your magic.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think it's working. And I just realized I've been here in the monthly format exactly 1 year ago. So I think the January is a general thing for me. But once again, I'm happy to be here, and I would like to talk about adoption and special adoption needs for enterprise voice. First of all, just a brief introduction. Vesco mentioned it already. I'm a brand new MVP. I'm pretty happy to join this huge family. And to give you some background, I'm running a video in brackets, video and audio podcasts in German, which is called Talk Microsoft 365. Hosting the Teams user group in Germany, especially the Munich chapter, and running adoption and change forum. Okay, what's NNet for you? So I would like to start with a general introduction. What is enterprise voice? What's behind this very special term? Give you a quick overview about devices and also give you some reasons to rethink the general idea. It's easy to drop an audio device into Teams or general home office, whatever scenarios. And I would like to talk about adoption insights. What are my personal favorites? What are the best experiences with multiple voice projects? And especially what has been done wrong in these projects to give you an insight why it's necessary to talk about user adoption for this. And last but not least, also a short insight about the general understanding for user adoption, which means it's just for the regular users. And let's talk about this later. First of all, what is enterprise voice? So it's a very specific term, which is basically this. You have a PC, which is connected via network, and you can make a phone call to a regular phone like landline phones, mobile phones, and that's it. You do have different scenarios in the Microsoft world. You may have heard about them. There are basically two options. One is with calling plans, and the other one is with direct routing. And there's a specific reason why I mentioned this in this presentation here. The first one is Microsoft-hosted full Microsoft service solution, which means Microsoft is responsible for all services, for all parts of the service when we talk about telephony itself. I will point to the network here. It's not only Microsoft. This is also related to the customer side, but the rest, okay, and the endpoint, but the rest is basically related to Microsoft. That's on a very high level. The other one is direct routing, and direct routing requires a local component called Session Border Controller, or SBC. With an SBC, you have a specific component translating your whatever kind of phone connection, like maybe old traditional ISDN connection or new SIP trunk or even analog devices to other environments. This could be another PBX, another phone system, but this could also be Microsoft Teams, which is another phone system. So when you take a look into these different scenarios, it's still telephony, but the back end is slightly different here. And keep this in your mind, and I will show you why this is important a little bit later. Okay, when you talk about telephony, it looks like it depends on your current experiences, what you understand for telephony. In one case, it's a traditional telephone on your desk. And I know there are a lot of people in this call, especially in this call, who would say, oh my goodness, that's wrong. And I'm one of these, because desk phones are not the best way to work with Microsoft Teams. So the other party will point to a headset. And you realize I'm currently not wearing a headset for a good reason. But I will go to this a bit later. You can see the different categories Microsoft providing for end devices, like headsets, speakerphones, the web camera, and yes, you can use it for phone calls as well. It's horrible from the sound, but you can use it. Desk phones, Teams, room systems, and there are some accessories as well. I would like to show you some models over here, and you can see some differences already. These 5 models are from a selection of 56 or 65, I'm not sure. You can find on the Microsoft support site today. So that means you have a very wide area for endpoints, for headsets you can choose from. And for a good reason. When you realize there are different headsets there, you can see there are some with cable and there are some without cable, some with a docking station and some without anything, just the dongle and the headset itself. So I will talk about this on the next slide. The other one is desk phones. It's pretty common, especially if you're coming from a traditional way to avoid old. You can see there are many different desk phones, and there are some very specific scenarios where a desk phone is definitely something you are looking into. For example, some floor and conference rooms, some telephones on the floor. The same for room systems. You can see multiple devices here, and you can see the speakerphones. And I mentioned before, when we talk about the common scenarios, we talk about desk phones, we talk about headsets, but today with a 90 or 99% home office, you're sitting in front of your desk in usually a pretty quiet room, no other people around you, and why not using a speakerphone? That's something you can you should think about also when you plan to bring some users to devices. Okay, you see, there are a lot of different options over here. So why is user adoption so important? First of all, the telephony is crucial. It's just a very, very sensitive, critical modality to have a conversation with someone. If you write an IM and it spins a couple of seconds, it's not important. And it should reach the user and that's it. If you say something and no one can understand you, that's an issue. And that's also an issue, especially with COVID-19. It should be something where your voice is coming through pretty clear, where background noises are not so good to hear in your call. You should wear something or hear the opposite environment as well, the opposite voice. You should just be in the situation where you can make a good phone call wherever you currently are. So there's also something you should think about from the device perspective. I've mentioned before, the desk phones are not the best way to bring it into every location. I think if you have a fixed desk in your home office, that's maybe an option. But if you're traveling a lot, or you already have been traveling, then you maybe need something different. Also for the device type, headset is not always the same. Someone is talking about a headset with a wire. Someone is talking about a headset without wire, with just Bluetooth dongle. And there are pros and cons for both. One is with a battery, one is just with a crazy cable on the desk. And more important as the cable is also the decision between over-ear, in-ear, on-ear, and when we talk about headsets, one side or both sides. So these are questions you may not able to answer all for the different use cases. And you are aware of this, I'm pretty sure. Teams is changing every week. So some changes like this, where the call experience will change, needs some user adoption. You have to train the users for this change, or at least raise awareness. The same for changes, small changes like this. A couple of weeks ago, you haven't seen any drop-down menus on the phone, and now it's coming with multiple numbers. You have to at least raise the awareness of these changes. And oh yeah, I mentioned it before, the humans have different requirements. Rethink the use cases. I was talking about the desk users and the office users previously. That's easy, I think. That's pretty common, especially when we talk about these office workers. We think about users who are working on a flex desk, or working in a more or less static environment. So maybe getting the same docking station on the desk, maybe getting the same configuration everywhere. That's pretty easy. It's getting more complex with the mobile worker. A mobile worker has different needs. Usually the mobile worker is not happy to get a headset which is huge on the ears or getting warm when they wear it a couple of hours. A mobile worker maybe needs something to carry on pretty easy in the bag. And when we talk about other scenarios like manufacturing or retail, you have different requirements as well. I had a long discussion with a receptionist who was not willing to have a small, fancy headset behind the ear. She liked the headset, but the first experience of the first week was no one has ever seen this headset. So the receptionist got a couple of users, a couple of guests on the desk, and everyone was talking right away. Instead of, she's carrying the headset, she's maybe not available right now, I have to wait. And that was something where we decided to get an old headset or handset, to be precisely. And this handset was just connected via USB. That's it. It was not fancy, but it was good to connect the soft client with a handset feeling and get everyone who's going to the desk a visual signal to avoid direct contact. And it's the same for the manufacturing. Someone who's usually dealing with steel and carrying some heavy weights is not interested into the most fancy headset. These people are interested to get something which is which could be more resistant to some accidents, water, different temperatures. They have different needs. So you have to think about them also for your device selection and your way to connect with a wire, without a wire. Is this a desk phone, or is it something which is connected via PC with a soft client, or maybe iPhone, Android phone, something like that, just to make it more portable for the users. And last but not least, for this scenario, I was talking about emergency phones already. These emergency phones have special needs, so they should be reachable fast. You are not in the case of an emergency, you are not in a situation to type in your credentials, wait for the sign-in procedure, and start the call. The phone has to be ready in this second. So there are some special needs, and you may have some special regulations as well. So it should maybe be unlocked. There should be a short dial button. You should ensure that this is always available, especially if you think about power over Ethernet. Is something you should think about the switches and the paths for your power, your energy to the phone as well. So what are the insights here? Every human is different. Everyone has different preferences for everything they are carrying. How on the ear, in the bag, on their bag, and of course they have different needs. Someone has some ear problems, for example, or they have some requirements which is the reason to avoid a specific kind of solution. So think about on a wider area, think about on a broad concept for your telephony and special environments, as mentioned before. The last thing last thing for the users is this is not a one point at a time decision. So the experience shows us that the most users get an idea about that should be my device. And then they start with this and they figure out it's not the device I was looking for because it's uncomfortable, it's not matching with their needs. And they realize they may need something different. So if you have the chance, provide an alternative after some time. One experience was on a customer side. We have distributed a couple of desk phones to users, and we offered a trade-in procedure after 1 year to switch from a desk phone to a headset. And this change has been done from 80% of the desk phone users. So give them an opportunity. And I was talking about the end users, but they are not the only ones you should consider for user adoption in this case, because user adoption is also important for the IT administrators. They are users as well, not only for the end points, for the devices, for the headsets, desk phones, and whatever device they are looking for. They need some clarification about troubleshooting and provider management as well. So if you have a traditional administrator who was able to get in touch with every server hands-on, switching the hard disks in a couple of seconds, you have also get in touch with these administrators to ensure they are able to realize the new requirements and how to handle them. Microsoft is showing us a very good picture where the different requirements are coming from and where Microsoft is responsible for. I've mentioned earlier there are two different solutions, and one is Microsoft is basically responsible for the telephony. Yes and no. There are some parts already mentioned, like the network connection to Microsoft, the endpoints. That's something you should be aware as a traditional administrator, of course, but you also should check the service health to manage how you can maybe inform your users and also, be in touch with the administrator, because it's not, if someone starts with telephony via Microsoft and they has administrated a VIA for 20 years, they should know how to look at or where to look at to get an experience. Where is this error maybe coming from? What is maybe the issue? So onboard these users as well. And last but not least, just a quick summary. User adoption is important, and not only for how to use the program, also for the device. Not only for regular users. Think about manufacturing, retail, every user in your company. Create some personas and get them identified. Help them to make the right decision. You can start with a short form or maybe some hands-on experiences. With COVID-19, it's pretty hard. That's something I have to commit. But you can send out, for example, different devices, or you can create a room where users one by one can get the experiences, disinfect the devices again, and the next one can jump into. And of course, help the administrators to get the idea behind all the new challenges for them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was interesting to listen. And of course, if you see the chat, we had a kind of a conversation going on there, coming from fire alarms to desktop Teams desk phones and everything between. So
I will
it's
answer
always
that via chat if there's anything open.
No, I didn't see any questions. At least that I didn't catch. Nothing catched my eye on the questions. It was more about the conversation. But
Okay.
of course, you are feel free to add to that. And anyone, if you have any questions, feel free to put them to the chat.
Yes.
Or I can open the mics for a moment. So if you have anything, you can raise a hand or open mic and ask Michael questions. Should I do a count? we need that special effect somehow there, like counter, clicking down. Okay, so all right, then go ahead and use the chat for the follow-up conversation or the questions. And thank you once more, Michael. It was a pleasure listening to your session there. Okay, next we have Matti. Are you ready, Matti? Are you ready to tell us about the Teams templates with a good story?
Yeah, I'm ready. I don't know about my slides, but I'm ready.
Yeah. We just see demos, right?
Yeah, I have a couple of course.
Okay, excellent.
I will just share and go on. Okay. So, hello from Finland. I won't say any good mornings because I know there are people all around the world, I think. So, this is my topic. So, what is the current story with Teams templates? And just go. Come on. Yeah, so who is me? My name is Matti Paukkonen. I'm an Office Apps and Services MVP, working as a modern work architect on my daily job. Also hosting a Teams Community Finland with a couple of good friends. And there you can find my social media channels, a blog and GitHub account. There are some examples and knowledge available. But let's dive right into today's topics. So I have been doing Teams templates and provisioning Teams for a while now. I don't even remember when I started, but I counted I have been doing at least 5 different solutions for Teams provisioning. But first I'm going to present what is available currently. Then I'm presenting some provisioning options with different techniques. And then we have a little very short roadmap update because there isn't so much on the roadmap, at least on the public one. Maybe we have a lot of MVPs here. If someone knows better, they can add on. But let's first dive into demos. So what is currently available? Sorry, some parts might be in Finnish, but I think the UI is in English, so you can understand it. So when you're creating a new team on Teams, starting here, now there is available several templates. So there is several Microsoft provided templates which are there out of the box for everyone, and I have already created one template for my organization or for my tenants. So there is tenants for some general stuff, healthcare, financial, government, so on and so on. And every user who can create a team can actually use these templates. So if you have the creating teams allowed, everyone can use those templates. But I will pick now, for example, adopting Office 365 template. And when you pick a template, you see it's creating these channels. So now it's 5 channels, and it's also adding a couple of apps there to the team while it's created. Next start, let it be private. Let's go with the Adopt 365 so I can know that this is a demo. And just hit create. And it's start start creating a team. You can see it's already there available. Let's wait for a little while what it says. And it says that you are free to do some other things. And actually it will bring a small toast notification once the team is done. So it will be a long running operation. It will take some minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes to actually complete. So let's leave it here and see how the templates are managed. So templates can be managed on Teams Admin Center by admins. And if you open the Teams menu here, you can see Teams templates. And here you can see the list of all templates in your tenant. For Microsoft specific templates, you actually cannot do much. You can see what is inside. If we check out the Adobe Office 365, you see that these channels are created, and shared calendar is actually automatically added as a tab to calendar channel. And wiki and shared channel calendar apps are actually added to that team. But we cannot do anything for this team at the moment. So you cannot edit or delete or even hide these templates. So these will be available for everyone. And I have this project team here, but let's create a new template. So I'm clicking add, and there are options to start with totally scratch template. So creating brand new, use existing team as a template. So it will bring me a list of teams, and I can pick something here and use it as a template. But let's not go there. Or just using an existing template. Let's just create a brand new for TeamsNation. So let's create a TeamsNation. And we need to have a description, of course. And there can be localized as well. So there is a language specific settings. I think now it doesn't really matter so much. And once we click next, we can start adding channels. So let's add channel for speakers. And it's shown by default. And we want to have a planner here, or a tasks by planner and to do. And let's add a OneNote also. So now we have a new channel there with 2 tabs. Let's add another more, so materials. And it's not shown by default. And let's, for example, add a SharePoint tab there. So now we have specified 2 channels. And if we like, we can also specify more apps there. As you can see, it already adds these apps to the team because they need to be in the team when your team is created if you are using those. So probably we want to have Poly here as well. Let's go hit Poly and add it. And now I'm done. I just click submit. And the TeamsNation team template is now available. Okay, let's go back to the team side. And let's see, it probably isn't available yet on the team side, but yeah, it's not there yet. Good thing is that your own templates are actually coming on top of the list. So these Microsoft specific templates are actually the last ones in the list. So you can get your organization's templates available first. But as you can see, I created the Adobe 365 template, and there is now 4 channels like announcements, calendar, Champions Corner. Let me see. Okay, so it's still provisioning it. So those tabs are actually not provisioned yet. So it might take a while. I would say 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes to get it fully complete. Okay, let's jump back to the slides for a moment. So features and limits. So it supports channels, tabs, and apps for your teams. And currently Microsoft templates cannot be deleted or hidden. There is also some limitations. So you can have 15 channels per template, 20 tabs per channel in a template, and 50 apps per template as well. So that is what is currently available on Microsoft Teams and what you can do with it. Now I will bring some ideas and what I'm learning from the field, what I've been using for provisioning teams and creating channels and stuff like that. Of course, the most simplest case is to take Power Automate and use just Teams actions. So you can create teams with pre-created channels, add members, owners, control the privacy settings. So there's not so much here, but these are for if you need something like, for example, 2 templates, very simple templates, and you want to do simple triggering from forms, SharePoint list, Power Up. These are mostly used, for example, IT admins who are getting familiar with Power Automate or getting familiar with Teams templates. No premium license requirements. So if you have an Office 365 license, you can actually use this right away. And of course, you can extend it with Power Automate actions like adding welcome messages, mentioning users, uploading documents, whatever you like to do. But I would say this is for a very simple use cases. Next one is already a full-blown Teams provisioning solution with Power Automate using Graph API. So you can call Graph API with the Teams template from Power Automate. I will show what is the Teams template a little bit later. It also supports Azure AD App Authentication, so you can actually create your teams with Azure AD App, not with the user. Of course, this requires already premium license because it is a premium connector, and basically same things apply, that you can do triggering easily from forms and SharePoint list, whatever. You have all the features available on Graph API available already because you have the license. You can extend it, use Graph endpoints to do things. And of course, you can extend it with Power Automate default actions as well. And this might be a good option. Start building your provisioning solution, especially when you have Power Platform chosen as an app platform in your organization, because anyway, you probably have those licenses and you are paying money for the licenses. So focusing on the single app platform might be a good idea. Teams PowerShell. I wouldn't build so complex Teams provisioning solutions on top of this one, but still you can create a team with Teams PowerShell, control team settings, console alias, control the team SharePoint site URL, add channels, change team picture, change team settings. Probably good when you are provisioning a lot of teams with a similar structure. So for example, migrating from some other system to Teams and having, for example, several specific channels there. I have been using this for simple migrations between tenants, for example, copying the team structure, copying the channels, copying the users between tenants. Quite simple and fairly straightforward. Of course, now you have already better tools for handling the tenant-to-tenant migration. And there is a preview on this Teams PowerShell, and now you can create those education templates as well with Teams PowerShell. One thing I have been working quite a lot coming from the SharePoint world, so using Pnp Provisioning Templates. So basically it supports the same things. You can create channels and tabs and apps and member, owner, guest settings and team settings as in the Graph API template JSON, or you can use Pnp schema like here to create your team. So it will be an XML format. And there is several different options, and this is fairly well supports all the features which are currently available. This is very useful when you are provisioning, for example, SharePoint artifacts, maybe some users, even Microsoft 365 tenant settings, and extremely users for us developers or consultants who are creating new environments, having demos and stuff. You can provision easily the complete demo solution to your environment for adding this. So probably in that, at least on that use case, this is extremely useful. Okay, finally, the Graph API, which is of course mostly the backbone of everything when you are creating teams. So you can create team with a template on one action. And as I mentioned before, template is JSON, so it's structured, everything there, channels, tabs, settings, name, whatever, all the what is supported. And these are the supported elements from 1.0 endpoint. And this is how it looks. So if you see here, for example, visibility is set to private. There are name, description. Channel is a kind of a structure where you have different channel settings, and underneath the channels are the tabs. You can provision apps, settings, everything. So basically the template is just a huge JSON. And a couple of demos about using the actual templates. So I have Graph Explorer here, and if you are not familiar with Graph Explorer and you are dealing with Teams templates, I suggest taking a good look and playing around with it. So first, I'm going to provision some kind of a full-blown Teams template. So basically, it was something which was on the slide. So I have a couple of channels, couple of tabs, settings, and also a couple of apps going in. So I mean, just copy this to Graph Explorer. I have signed in. I have enough permissions, and I will just run the query. And hopefully, yeah, it was good. So let's see. TeamsNation, it starts provisioning, but let's not go there. How about if you like to create those, use those Microsoft related Teams templates and provision those with Graph API. Let's have a look on the admin center first. I want to create another team with Adapt Office 365 template with Graph API. You see here there is a template ID available over here. I need that one. And I actually have it already in my demo JSON. So I will pick this one next to the Graph Explorer. And as you can see, for the template, I'm actually using that COM Microsoft Teams template, Adapt Office 365. And let's throw it in. And it's fine. Again, named it Adoption Demo. It starts provisioning, and hopefully we can get this done because it takes some time. And you probably see where I'm going here. How about if you manage your templates on Teams Admin Center, but you want to use your custom solution to provision those teams? Is it possible? And I say it is. So here we have this TeamsNation template. And there is a template ID, which is a GUID. So let's take that one. Let's copy that one because I want to create the new template. And I have a third demo JSON. I will just paste it in here. Okay. And just copy the whole thing and throw it to the Graph Explorer. Okay, there might be something wrong with this one. Okay, thank you. And let's call it the project team demo and run it. And it went through. Okay, so first one we created with the full-blown template was TeamsNation. And as you can see already, the poly is pinging me that, hey, I'm here, I'm helping you out, but there is no channels. How about the adoption demo, which I created in the second call from the Graph Explorer? It already has those channels, which are the same, which are available on that team, which we created from the Teams UI. And hopefully we can see the rest. Maybe we need to go onto the slides and see it at the end, because there is no point for us waiting 5 minutes here and looking at the screen. Okay, let's jump to the slides. Some bullet points when you are using Graph API, and this is more of my learning. So couldn't state more that read the documentation and read it all over again, and maybe a third time when you have errors, because I have seen that might be missing something like permissions or some required attributes are missing. So read the documentation. Also, if you have been using beta endpoint, so Graph API beta endpoint, and you are migrating to 1.0, check if there is some possible schema changes, because I have been noticing something, at least handling around owners is as a little bit different between beta and 1.0. Or my code didn't work, actually. I needed to do some JSON schema changes there. Permissions, focus on least privilege. So group read write all permission was required when creating teams before. Now you actually have more granular permissions for create team and create a channel. So depending on your solution and what you are actually creating, focus on the permissions. They are available in the documentation as well. So go with the least privilege, because group read write all, what it means, that application or delegated user has all permissions to all of your groups in the tenant. So it's quite a lot. And test with Graph Explorer. Of course, you cannot test application authentication with Graph Explorer. You need to use, for example, Postman for that. But when you are starting to build your template, Graph Explorer is actually a good tool to see if there is any errors, and it will be provisioning fine. I will just take a quick look on the, okay. It went a little bit further. Okay, now TeamsNation demo has those channels which I was adding to the template, and project team demo also poly notifies me. And as we can see here on the TeamsNation template and see the apps, we had poly there. So you can definitely provision teams based on templates managed on Teams Admin Center as well. You just need the ID there. Okay, and now we actually have the channels, materials, and speakers there. But there isn't still the tab, so it will still continue provisioning. Okay. Very shortly from the roadmap. So as I mentioned before, you cannot hide, you cannot delete Microsoft specific templates, but on the roadmap there is and this should be rolling out quite soon, the template policies are coming, and you can control which templates are available. If it works like a Teams policy, I think you can also assign people to different policies and have different templates available for them, but I'm not. This is just my guess. Maybe some other MVP knows better if there is something like that coming. But this is my finding. Okay, so short wrap up. Out-of-the-box templates are a good entry point and using out-of-the-box features, but quite frequently I have seen that people really require more than just having a template which creates channels and add tabs there. Custom solutions can be built with at least these technologies, and of course, utilizing Graph API, you get the best results. Managed team templates, which are managed on Teams Admin Center, you can use those as part of your custom solution, but you need to, of course, dig out the IDs from Teams Admin Center. And when you are working with Power Platform, Power Automate, be careful with the licensing. I would say I'm not an expert, but please be careful with the licensing, because you need to have proper licenses for users. And when you're provisioning tabs with settings like Planner or OneNote, it will add complexity because, for example, Planner cannot exist before you have actually created the group. So you need to really have some more code to handle that. And if you need to provision, for example, SharePoint artifacts, check out the Pnp templates. That's the good solution to go for. Hey, that was my presentation. So any questions?
Thank you so much, Matti. That was a great session. I can see any questions in the chat, so I think I will unmute. So in case you have any questions, you feel free to unmute and ask Matti any questions you have. I guess that means you've explained everything very well, Matti, right?
Oh. I don't feel like it, but let's see.
Ah. All right.
Thank
yes.
you.
In case there's any questions, you can just type them in the chat, I guess. So
Yeah, I will chat.
Yeah, great. So once again, thank you, Matti. Great session. And with that, I hand off to Chris because now it's time for some announcements. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yes, that's right. And a very exciting time. I mean, I guess I'm really privileged in order to, let me just share my screen here a second. Okay. Adam, can you see that?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, perfect. So
wait. What am I supposed to see really here?
can you be seeing the TeamsNation deck?
No, there's something else really strange I'm seeing. So just reshare.
We see a logo, a square, and an X.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
I don't think that was right. It didn't look like.
Let me just get that back on. How about now?
Blank screen currently.
Black screen, yeah.
Give me a second.
There has to be some build up, you know. So
yeah, I can feel the tension.
Yeah, I think there are a few adoption people.
We can share it. It's probably my surface.
Yeah, there are a few adoption people that joined. Perhaps we can teach you how to share this.
Can you see it now?
Unfortunately, no. Do you want to proceed? That I will just share my screen and
there's something going on with.
Yeah.
I could leave, but if you just want to share it.
Yeah. No problem. And the issue should be fixed.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Then let's get things underway. So this is kind of what we've been waiting for. I just want to say a shout out, thank you to both Michael and Matti for excellent sessions. We always love bringing on a couple of speakers to the sessions every single month. So yeah, if you could give them a kind of a round of applause and we can get some emojis going for their contribution today. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you ever so much. So next month, if you didn't know, we've got a special Graph API session that Vesku has arranged for us. So I was really enjoying that piece on the end there with Graph API and the templates. So it's a real big reason to come along next month. But let's get down to the TeamsNation Community Conference. So if we want to shift on from this slide to talk a little bit about the history of TeamsNation, we'll just go over it quick just to resume. So TeamsNation will be our fourth conference. This isn't something that we've just started out from. Back when we began in 2019, Adam and I had a goal to start a small conference, and I've blogged about it previously. You can check out my blog about the history, but it was really rapidly put together. We didn't know a lot of what we were doing back then, and a lot of people, including people on these calls, came along and spoke. So when I think of Chirag Patel, Amanda Sterner, Carolina Ketakari, Mark Vail, Randy Chapman, Martin Helbro, they all took a chance on us, and we weren't particularly kind of very well known back then. But we managed through kind of high and low to manage to pull it off, and we called that Oktoberfest. And then we had Vesa Nopanen come along to the team, and he came up with this idea for a great name that we use going forward called Teamsfest. We didn't change it for that first conference, but that conference still had about 600 attendees, 30 speakers, and we did it over the course of 3 tracks. So it was a very small conference, but one that was very successful. Then during the course of 2020, we did another 2 conferences, each one getting bigger each time. So we kind of expanded the tracks, invited more speakers, had more applications where we were becoming a little bit better known within the Teams community. Last year, in October was our 3rd, which was TeamsFest. That was back in October, which is crazy when you think that it was only 3 months ago at this point. We had around about 1,300 attendees, 90 speakers, 8 tracks, and what we were really proud of with that was that we had over doubled in size since the first one, but still maintained the really great kind of feedback that we got about the conference. Now, TeamsFest, as most people know, there was another organization that was using that name for more of a commercial purpose than a non-commercial purpose. And also as well, we were kind of thinking of a rebrand for a while anyway. So we decided to come up with TeamsNation. TeamsNation is therefore our fourth conference, and one that is the name of the user group, and one that hopefully we'll be moving forward with a long time to come. Now, we've been working on this in the background literally since the last TeamsFest finished. We started working on TeamsNation, and we are going to go even bigger this time around. So there's going to be over 100 speakers that will speak at the event. There's going to be 11 tracks, and let's take a look at what those tracks are. So if we could. So these are the tracks, okay? You're going to see some that have remained the same tracks as we've had on previous events. There's some that have been very, very successful. So adoption and governance, security and compliance, the ones that you see in blue are going to be the same as that we've had at previous events. So there's going to be a productivity track. There's going to be an education and community track. One that we introduced last time around that has gone very well is the Power Platform track. That's been one that really was a big hit. But we have made some changes and we have introduced some more tracks as well. So the one in orange, Build and Extend, what we are doing is we are putting the Pro Dev and the deployment tracks together. They fit really well with each other. The ones in green are completely new tracks that we're doing for the very first time. So let's move to the next slide and we can talk a little bit about them. So in terms of tracks, this is going to be bigger than we've ever attempted before. So the Table Talks and Unconference track, this is very much an interactive track, and a track that is dedicated to sessions that where there are multiple speakers, or which they are thought sessions that generally move away from the standard conference session. You may have already seen them, such as in Ignite, or Inspire, or other Microsoft events. So this is ideal if you run a user group currently. I'm just thinking of one off the top of my head, which is Teams ACM Europe might want to come along and do a table talk for the conference all about adoption. That would be the ideal platform for them. The next track, SharePoint, OneDrive, Yammer and Stream, or the SOIS track. So that's a track that's dedicated to technology that is working alongside Microsoft Teams. So this will be the first conference we've ever done where we will have tracks that are non-Teams tracks. They're non-Teams 100%, because we think it's important to not only be inclusive, but to also the people that are using Teams are also using other technologies alongside. And when we think of that, we think of SharePoint and OneDrive and Yammer and Stream as well. So you will be able to, for the first time, submit sessions purely on SharePoint, OneDrive, Yammer or Stream. So this opens up the conference a little bit for people that work in the area of collaboration. The next two tracks I am really, really excited about. So since we've begun, TeamsFest has been a conference that has just been in the English language. But again, on this theme of inclusion, we want to move slightly past that. So we've decided, okay, to do tracks or dedicated tracks both in French and German. Now, we decided to do these tracks in partnership with other communities that are involved in Microsoft Teams and collaboration. The French track, TeamsNation France, will be run by the AMS community. So we have Patrick and we have the whole AMS community behind us. So we will have a track where all of those who want to do sessions on Teams be able to submit in the French language. And the same on the TeamsNation Germany track. So we are working with Raphael Kollner, who runs Teams Community Day along with the team, along with Jennifer and Rolf and Tomislav. They will be running the TeamsNation Germany track. So again, we want to be able to embrace more languages simply than English. So one French track, one German track that will run alongside the other English tracks. We are looking very, very excited to that. So if we can move on to the next one, Vesku. So where are we in the kind of the grand scheme of all this? So number one, okay, we have completed the setup. Okay, we are pretty much ready to fire our engines and get ready for the call to speakers, to start accepting sessions and really putting in things into play, like the registration and the tenant. Now the setup is complete. That call for speakers is going to run over the course of January to the end of March. There's a bit of time to think about your session. There's time to go to Ignite, which is at the beginning of March, to pick up some inspiration and then submit to the conference. At the end, the 31st of March, the call for speakers will come to an end, and then we will go into a commit phase whereby we talk to speakers, we kind of finalize their sessions, and then we all start getting ready to the event. And then in May 26th, Wednesday of May, we will have the event. So I think that the one that people have been waiting for, I think, is the next slide. So who's going to be headlining? Okay. Well, we've talked to a lot of people this time. We've got into kind of a lot of conversations with people from Microsoft. Okay, so here are the headliners for this event. So if we think that we've already working with AMS, we're working with Teams Community DE, and we've got those kind of community rock stars of Patrick and Raphael. Well, the headliners, we're going to have Jeff Tieper, we're going to have Rich Tandon, Caruana, Charles Lamanna. So that's 3 Microsoft CVPs are going to be speaking at TeamsNation this time around. We've got Donna Sarka, we've got Ann Michaels, Vessi Avonen, Heather Newman, Laurie Alley, and Mark Cashman as well. So they are going to be speaking at the event. They are going to be in the tracks probably a little bit later on in the day, but that's just to start out. We've already had conversations as well with some community speakers that will be, we will announce them, okay, in due course. So I'm really, really excited about this. If any of you have seen Rish or seen Charles or seen Donna or Anne or any that you see here speak, they're all fantastic speakers. They are going to take their time to come along and work with us at TeamsNation. They've already committed. I mean, this is such a stellar lineup. It's taken, and we've got a few more as well from Microsoft, but we're just in kind of conversations with them at the moment. So moving on from the headliners, and I'm sure you'll see a lot of this. Okay, right now, call for speakers is open. So we've tied it in. It's all been leading up to this moment. So sessionize.com/TeamsNation. Yeah, 6 minutes. The call for speakers has been open. We're also doing the call for moderators as well. TeamsNation is organised by Vesku, Adam, Chris Webb, and myself, but we're only 4 people. And what we had from the last experience is that we need a really great team of moderators to come and work with us on the day and make the event a success. So the call for speakers, whilst it's open right now and goes right the way up to March the 31st, the call for moderators is open until February. It's only open for a shorter period of time because we need to start organising meetings for moderator and the management of the day. So we'll just leave that up for a second. Now, how many kind of speakers and how many moderators? In the realm of kind of speakers, we're probably looking at this current time at somewhere between 70 and 80. And for moderators, it will be 1 for every track. So we'll need at least 11. So if you think that you would want to speak, want to moderate, or if you would like to speak and moderate, then please submit to each of these. So the next one, Vesku. So rounding up, okay, where we go from here, there has been, okay, a lot there's a lot of big news. We've got some fantastic headliners. We've got 4 new tracks. We're going to be bigger than we ever were previously. You can now submit not only Teams sessions, but also SharePoint, OneDrive, Yammer, or Stream sessions to the conference as well. Moving on from here, where do we go? Of course, the call for speakers and the call for moderators are going to be running for the next few months. So if there are people that you know want to submit, or if you want to submit yourself, please help to spread the word for us. Now in the next meetup, we're going to be moving on to Microsoft Graph Day, as mentioned before. Vesku, do you want to mention, have a quick word here? Because I think you were the one that organized this.
Okay, thank you, Chris. We have two amazing speakers from Microsoft. Betty Rose is speaking to us from Kenya, and she's basically has a lot to do with the Graph Explorer. And of course, Alice Young is coming to Seattle, so it's going to be a very, very early morning for her. And she is working with Graph Toolkit. So we have two kind of people who really know these tools and are going to showcasing us a real good case about what you can do them, how you can get started with them, basically. And I really look forward to this because I use Graph Explorer a lot because like I mentioned in the comments there, I love Microsoft Graph API, especially with Teams. And then I just have to learn more about the toolkit. So this is going to be the perfect opportunity for learning about that as well.
So please, come along next month. I think we've got quite a packed schedule. I think we've opened sessions right up until June, so that's even past the TeamsNation Conference. So I think moving on to the next slide.
Okay.
Please get involved. Please send out the word about TeamsNation. We will have a lot of social media probably over the course of the next day. Anyone who you know that would be interested in TeamsNation and attending these monthly meetups at the conference, please point them at our meetup. All this information that will be going up on our site, and also as well, this will be going up onto YouTube. So I think we're about 10 minutes, okay, past the hour.
Yeah.
I think we will
can put this one. We have two slides in here. Of course, we can come back to this one after showing the Teams Community Day information where we are participating in.
That's correct. So we're participating, most of us, in Teams Community Day 2021 this Thursday. So if you're looking for a Teams conference to go to, this is one that we would very well recommend. So we'll leave this slide up on. This is run by Raphael in the team in Germany, and there are sessions in German and in English. So please feel free to sign up. That takes place on Thursday, on January the 28th. We can't recommend it enough. The guys, Raphael, Jennifer, and the team, they always make this event really, really great. Vesku and myself are both speaking in it with sessions of our own. It's one that we would always recommend, like the Modern Workplace Conference in Paris, which has just taken place earlier this month. They are kind of really staples on the team circuit. So please, if you've got time to sign up and time on Thursday to get in to see those sessions. And then, of course, we will be working with them and the AMS community in TeamsNation. So I think that's pretty much it for the TeamsNation announcements. We've announced a lot of things. There's a lot to digest.
On the Teams Community Day, there's this TeamsNation track. Basically, the City London is effectively the TeamsNation room. So feel free to join us. Chris and I and Peter Rising are moderating the room in there. So you're all welcome to join us. I think I just leave this one here. Anyway, there's a lot of activity in the chat. I don't know if you have the chance to look at that, but it looks to me like people are really excited about all this, what's going to happen. I leave the URLs there so you can kind of get a good look at them and start submitting and joining into moderators group.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be, we're going to go all out to make this as good an event as we can do again. We are looking forward to it. We like to change things up, keep things a little bit different, going from conference to conference. We read a lot of the feedback that we got from last time, so we will be putting in some of the improvements that we want to see there. But Adam, Chris, is there anything that you want to kind of give your thoughts on about the conference?
I don't think there's anything additionally. I mean, I think covered pretty much it. It's gonna be awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and on the improvement side, I think the forms, the feedback form is one of those big things we are going to improve a lot.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I was like, man, I'm gonna take that one and tackle that one for us.
That's right. It's those little things, but those little things that make on the day. So I guess we would like to thank everyone for coming along today. It's been absolutely excellent. Thank you again to Michael and Matti for excellent sessions. We look forward to hopefully your submissions to TeamsNation, or if you want to work with us as moderators for TeamsNation. We also hope to see you next month in the next, and we'll give you an update every month until TeamsNation goes ahead. So thank you very much. I hope you have a great afternoon and a great rest of the week. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.